Yeah, guys. So another special episode, and I just don't know where to start with this bio right here, because in front of you is a superstar, is a legend, and legend in the making in real estate industry as well. So we're going to be covering a lot of topics today, from sports, real estate, business, mindsets, entrepreneurship, you name it. It's going to be a lot of things that we're going to talk about and provide you guys value with. So first of all, I just want to introduce you to this man who is sitting in front of you, which is not me. John van der Giessen. He's a retired professional athlete, entrepreneur, and full-time real estate professional. John represented the United States in 2007 and 2011 Rugby World Cups, proudly served as a captain of the US team in 2010, and played in the French top 14 league for Sporting Club Albigeois, that's an interesting word, and in the English Premier League for the storied Bath Rugby Club. And if you are from England, you probably know this club is very famous. John grew up in a real estate in the American West. He's interested in basically, he's a professional athlete, as you heard. Um, and I'm just looking at the bio. Basically, he's currently holds multiple passive and active investments in cash flowing apartment assets throughout the US. He's passionate about educating, empowering people, where he helps people to realize the power of real estate investing through diversification and increasing streams of income through apartment syndication. I love the quote. I have to mention it. The favorite quote: work harder on yourself than you do on your business. So I see what you did there. You tweaked a little bit. I think there was work on your job, but I love that. So you can find more information at Stack Rock Capital. That's stackrockcapital.com. Again, stackrockcapital.com for more information. And just a pleasure and honor, and grateful to be in the presence today, John. I really appreciate it.
It's great to be here, Martinez, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward to the conversation today.
Awesome, awesome. Because again, guys, the entire bio is going to be included down below. I mean, it's insane. What this guy has accomplished as a professional athlete, and now he's doing more than that to real estate space. So I'm just excited to have you. So first of all, for the people who are maybe not familiar, maybe they've seen you sometime, on a TV or somewhere, as an athlete. Maybe you can explain like your background, like where you coming from, until, this moment now while you're building this, real estate company.
Sure, absolutely. So, let's back up a little bit. In the year 2000, which I don't think it was that long ago, but now I say that in 2020, it sounds like a long time ago. Went to the University of Idaho, and for my first year of university, didn't do anything as far as sports and competing, but I just had something left in the belly after high school and really needed to get out and just get active. And I remember one of my friends saying, "You should play rugby." And my response was, "What's that?" I literally had never heard the word, knew nothing about the sport. And so that week I went out for a Tuesday, Thursday training session and then played on the weekend and just got absolutely hooked. So back when there were computer labs at universities, I went to the computer lab and did a bunch of research, found out that there was a Rugby World Cup every 4 years, and that it was, a little bit about the history of the game and, the major countries that play it, and that in 2003 there was going to be a Rugby World Cup in Australia. So I did what every person would do, right? And as I withdrew from the University of Idaho and bought a one-way ticket down to Australia to walk on to the University of Queensland Red Heavies Rugby Club, go to school down there, which I had to actually convince them to let me in. My first semester at the University of Idaho, I didn't focus too much on academics. So I had a pretty low GPA, and that was pretty interesting. But they did let me enroll at the University of Queensland after all, with some begging and pleading. And then I just became a student of the game of rugby, and that allowed me to, 10 quick years later, retire from the sport. After that professional career, and just a wealth of memories and experiences. It was incredible.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So first of all, Congratulations of having this phenomenal, journey into this beautiful sports. Again, it's tough, for the guys who's fans here watching, American football. Man, these guys don't wear the helmets. They, some of those do. I mean, it's tough, man. It's really, physical game. I mean, it's because I know, like, from my country, people, there's big teams that play the sport, and like I'm very close with these people. So it is awesome. So first of all, can you explain, like, people coming back to your journey, like, have you ever got involved with the sports until that, or like what made you to transition, like, towards sports? What happened in that?
I was always into sports. The issue is I was a really small kid for a very long time, and obviously we're on this interview and you can't tell, but in my prime playing, I was 6'6" and 260 pounds. Which, so 198 centimeters and what is that? 114 kg or something like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, but growing up, I was on the shorter side for a very long time. In high school, I wasn't medically cleared to play for a couple of different reasons. And then, yeah, thankfully all that happened though, right? Some people think that that's a disadvantage, and some people think that, oh man, that's unfortunate that happened to you. However, all those sorts of things, it's funny how one door closes and another door opens up, because growing later in life actually allowed me to be exposed to rugby, and it allowed me to live in 4 or 5 different countries and travel the world with the US national team, and all of those things that I wouldn't have if I would have grown early like all my friends, and probably gotten some sort of scholarship or something to a university, and then after that it wouldn't have gone very far, I'm sure. But it's a different approach as far as the mindset goes, as just being thankful for those opportunities, because sometimes I remember thinking, man, this is my life's over because I can't play high school sports.
Mm.
Well, it certainly wasn't. It was just better things were going to come around the corner.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful story. So again, you played 10 plus years, right? Rugby, and still, like, traveled for, probably more countries, and still you came back to the US. So what happened after you finished, this long, because 10 years is a long, long enough time.
Yeah.
It's a decade. So can you explain, like, how did you transition into this, like, normal kind of routine life, and like what happened in that period of time?
It's a great question, Martinez. So 5 of those years I was amateur, and so I was traveling around, doing odd jobs under the table, just getting by, and people sleeping on people's couches and whatnot, and living in different countries. And then the last 5 years, I was able to kind of get on that national team radar, and then get an agent, and then have the professional experience that I did. And then after 2011 Rugby World Cup in New Zealand, I knew that I had accomplished everything that I wanted to do in the sport, and still in the prime of my sporting career at 30. I certainly could have continued to play, but I just really felt the need to get going on the next thing. And for me, that was business. And the one thing that I didn't anticipate was how much I related my identity to being an athlete. And that transition from athlete to business person was very, very challenging to me.
Mm.
And after the fact, I've found out through conversation with a lot of other professional athletes that that is a big thing that's not talked about, and the rates of depression are incredibly high, because the frame of mind is, well, I'm an athlete and this is what I do and this is what I'm about. And then you retire and you don't anticipate that, you don't have the big release on the weekend, and you don't have the cameras, you don't have the camaraderie, you
You
don't
lose
have
the identity. Yep.
the identity and the professionalism too, because
Yeah.
it is a very professional atmosphere where, for, 7 days a week, I had a schedule. I had somebody telling me where to be, what to wear, when the media events were, where the team dinners were going to be. I mean, just everything was taken care of for you, and you had to show up on a big level. But then when you retired,
Mm.
nobody other than yourself is telling you to show up, and that becomes very challenging. And I'm happy to see a lot more support networks and a lot more spotlight shown on this particular issue, because it is an important one, because a lot of guys don't anticipate, and women, I'm sure, that it is a challenge to get to the next level of your life, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely agree. Like, definitely agree with that, John, because it's not even for the people, again, who are professionally playing the sports. Look at the people, what happened with people who went to the war. Like, look at the Vietnam people, look at the Afghanistan people. I mean, people went like all the time. Like, imagine, half a year, I don't know how long they've been in there, so some of those people, but they're coming back every day while they're, I mean, the war is going on, the bombs dropping. I mean, the crazy stuff. Some people probably can dream, like the millennials that are watching right now. They're like, man, I just, I just play these games like on a PS4 right now. Like, I don't have to experience this type of things. So, but these people experienced, and they came back home. And again, same what you mentioned, like depressions, because of what? Because, one day you just action. Everything is going on. You're busy 24/7. Again, for you was a little bit kind of different busy, right? Your schedule is always planned 24/7. You already know what you're going to be doing ahead, and then you come back and there's nothing to do. So,
Absolutely.
I think work in general, I think it's a God's gift, because when people are not working, they become lazy. They become depressed. They just lose themselves.
Right.
So, I'm very happy that you now came across again. That's why, again, I'm just, talking about the spotlight, because people definitely need to see, and maybe, some of your, advices. Maybe I'm going to link some of your social media links down below. Maybe you can tell those a little bit later, so people can get in contact with you. Some professional, maybe, sports people are watching this interview, and maybe they will, would like to ask a few questions. How did you transition to creating a business at the end, which you're doing right now? So
Massive.
it's impressive.
I love that, Martinez, and thank you. And I am very happy to connect with people. I'm very accessible, because one of the greatest things about being an athlete is your network.
Yeah.
And that translates really well into business. What's next after that? And your network is your net worth, as we've heard, right? And it was interesting sitting down with really, really high level business people when I was still transitioning. I didn't understand what they were saying at the time, but point blank, they said, John, I can tell you right now, one of the number one assets that you have is your database. Because I spent 10 years traveling around the world and connecting with really, really great people, and a lot of people that would open their door to me and help me out, and I didn't understand it at the time, but it has certainly shown true now in business that all of those folks that I know, they also want to see me win in business, and they're very willing to make a connection to get into business together. Lots of different opportunities there. So I would love to discuss strategizing on what somebody could do in their exit from rugby, because when you're a rugby player, that's your superpower.
Yeah.
And some people really, really struggle to identify what their superpower is after rugby, because we all have our own superpowers, right? But some people just don't have clarity as to what that is.
Yeah.
And they need a little help, and that's fine, because believe me, plenty of people helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah. Definitely. So talking about that transition, your transition into the business, particularly in real estate. Like, can you just elaborate on that? Like, why real estate in particular? Because you could be a different business owner. Like, you could open a restaurant, a furniture store, anything besides real estate investing. So what about real estate investing, like, attracted you so much to get into the business?
Sure. I will say before that is that there are two really great opportunities in somebody's professional career: a great cash flowing business and sales. One of those two, or both, are excellent opportunities. And it doesn't matter what industry you're speaking about, just as long as it makes sense to you, it resonates with you that, hey, I like this, I could do this, and it's going to get me to whatever my goals are with lifestyle, with wealth, and happiness, of course, is something that we need to talk about in business too.
Yeah.
And once you get one of those going, absolutely. And, particular to wealth, if you're not satisfied with your income level right now, one of the fastest ways to change that is to get into a sales role.
Yeah.
whatever that is. And, in my case, I was, depressed. I was, wearing sweatpants for part of my day. And I was in some dark places, mentally. And, I go from driving Uber, to now, being a part of an incredibly successful real estate team, and also doing apartment syndications. And I have more opportunity than I've ever had. And that was just getting clear on, where I want to go and what I want to do. So
Mm. So how did you
absolutely.
discover it? Was it the book, the people that you met? What was the entry point?
Well, going back to the first person that ever came up to me after my first rugby game, he was a real estate broker named Joe McGurkin, and still a dear friend and mentor of mine today. And the kind of values and virtues that he has are unbelievable. So there was definitely an emulation to that guy to this day. And I just watching what he was doing in real estate, and I was always curious. And so even before I had really gotten into rugby seriously at all, I was curious about real estate. And
Okay.
real estate is an excellent industry. And there are so many different facets of real estate, so many different ways to make money in real estate and have a great time with great people too. So I would certainly encourage somebody to look at real estate as an opportunity. And for me personally, what real estate does, it allows me to have more choices within my time. And
Mm-hmm.
people talk about big whys, Martinez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I stole mine from Tony Robbins. And it's to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, as much as I want.
Yeah.
Because once I have that, then that opens up opportunities to impact more people, the organizations that I care about, to create the experiences with my friends and family that are really what you're going to remember at the end of your life. Those
Yeah.
sorts of things are incredibly powerful. And real estate is a fantastic vehicle. But just like anything, like professional athletics, you've got to show up, and you've got to go deep on a skill set, and you have to master the industry in order to get the kind of success that you'd like.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as an example, in America, getting your real estate license as a realtor, a real estate salesperson, that's a 90-hour course. That's not a difficult thing. It really
Uh,
is not. That does not mean after getting that license that you are going to be wildly successful. Okay. That just gave you the accreditation to start learning. And then you need to plan on
exactly.
getting that PhD, which means showing up every day. The
Yeah.
first 6 months of my real estate career, I didn't take a day off, just to get momentum, because much like anything in life, it's momentum based, and real
Yeah.
estate is definitely momentum based. Because if you put
So true.
when you're getting going in real estate, if you take the time to take your foot off the gas,
Lose the
that's going to
momentum.
impact yourself. That really is going to impact your momentum. And so for
Yeah.
that first, pushing on that snowball just to get it rolling down the hill a little bit, it took 6 months. And sometimes it takes longer. And there's barriers all over the place that are going to prevent you from getting to your goal. But that's life in general, and you got to find a way around those too. So
Mm. Yeah.
uh, very, very challenging. Just doing everything I could under the sun just to get momentum, and doing multiple open houses and cold calling people, and wearing out dress shoes, door knocking, and just getting dirty, getting
Yeah.
down to the nitty gritty to get that momentum. Because the other opportunity was to be broke and not happy with my situation. Uh,
Yeah.
Building wealth is challenging. It's hard. However,
It's not supposed to be easy.
it's not supposed to be easy. But I'll tell you what else is hard too, is being broke.
Much harder. Because then
I,
you have to go to bed and you have to sleep with it. I mean, you have to, if you have a bed, maybe you're going to be sleeping on the floor. I mean, there's different, levels of being poor. But I mean, if you're already tapped in your potential, which you did in the sports, you already know that you have this superpower, you're Superman, right? And that you know that you can hone another skill set besides this. And you got some people involved saying, yeah, you can do real estate,
that's right.
and you still know that you have the superpower. Why you should like put that dormant and just, just go for the broke.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
what's great about real estate is it's a team sport. You don't have to go alone. I certainly didn't go alone in rugby, but in real estate and in business, it's a team sport. So here at my office, we have 40 people on my team, and 10 or 12 of them are actual real estate salespeople, and then the rest of them have other jobs within real estate as well. And I wouldn't be able to be extremely effective at what I do if I didn't have all of those other folks doing really, really great jobs at what they do. And that's what's really fun about real estate too. So finding that team and finding that superpower, definitely great places to start. And there are a few books out there, Strengths Finders, there's different personality assessments, the KPA, the DISC profile, all these different things allow you to get more informed about who you are and what your skill sets are. Because if it comes back and says that you love to be in a spreadsheet, but you really want to do real estate sales, I'm not saying that you couldn't, but don't be surprised if you're not a very sociable person and inclined to go talk to people and call and pick up the phone, that you might get really, really uncomfortable and maybe not be too effective in that scenario, but opposed to maybe doing underwriting on multifamily deals. Maybe you're incredible at that. Or there's just a million different ways to get into that real estate space.
Yeah, definitely. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? That's what
Cool.
I say. So surrounding yourself with the right people, again, instead of pushing of whatever you think you're good at, if you just have the right people who would point at you, like, because I have those people in my house saying, no, don't do this. You're good at that thing. And I just stopped it. I was like, okay, so because people from the side can see better, like what you're good at. So what will be your type of advice for the people, again, who are looking at this interview? And again, guys, if you enjoy it, click the like button as well. So if they're athletes, they're looking to get, transition into the business, maybe real estate, let's say real estate in particular, what one piece of advice would you give them, kind of a starting point to get into the business?
Start talking to people. Look at your schedule right now. I can tell you what's going on in your life by looking at your phone calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's see. Where is my phone? Somewhere right next to me. It's never very far away in this business, right?
I'm an old school. I'm an old school guy.
Okay, I love it. And I'm actually right there with you. So I got both, right? But so this is a super computer. Okay, this is more powerful than what took us to the moon. Now, with that in mind, you have access to everybody and anybody. Instagram. I've reached out to people that are doing things at 100x of what I'm doing, direct message them, and they get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to early 2000s when I started to learn rugby, I was given a VHS tape. I'm sure some of the listeners don't even know what a VHS tape is, of old test matches of South Africa playing Australia, etc. Okay. I didn't have YouTube. YouTube wasn't in existence yet. So all of these different things that people can access now to learn the game of rugby. Now this is translating into the game of business and the game of life too. You have access to everybody and everything because of your phone now. It's an incredible resource, and people do not realize it. They just choose not to do a little bit more every day. That 1%, that one call, that one lunch. Hey, Martinez, this is John. I'm really loving what you're doing right now. Would you have an opportunity to meet me for coffee? Especially when you're an athlete. And I want to talk about people that aren't athletes that are just transitioning anyway, is who do you know in your Rolodex already through the club, through club sponsors and investors? What are all of these people doing and how are they successful at it? And sit down and start asking questions. I don't care where you are financially, you can afford to take somebody to coffee, take them to lunch. It will be the best investment that you can do for your day, is to take somebody out that knows more than you and meet with them. Because if you walk away with one gold nugget from that conversation, I mean, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. it starts changing. The trajectory over time is just you go in different place.
You
So
do.
I love what you just said about the phone. You know, I wouldn't agree with everything that you just said, but I don't have to, because again, everybody have their own opinions.
That's
But
right.
you know, it is I think like the phone, this piece of a machine that you just said, you know, it's super powerful. Took us, you know, like it has more power that, you know, the rocket ships that took us to the moon. You know, and it's phenomenal. You know, you can do so many. You can reach almost everybody in all the space. You know, Rihanna's. You know, you can tweet to Donald Trump if you want to. I mean, everything is available. But due to that, to information being like, there's so much of stuff. Like if you go on Google right now, you probably, if you Google how to start real estate business, you'll probably be more confused than like like just knowing what to do. You'll be like,
Right.
I'm lost, because
Right.
everybody's saying different stuff, and there's so many people now again in the business, and it's just, you know, so like there's two sides of this thing, but definitely what you're saying is true if you just go out there and just reach out for more people.
That's right. Starting somewhere. And I
Yeah.
completely agree with you that you can get very confused very quickly. Now, the people that get the most confused are the ones that don't know exactly what's important to them yet. So there's
Yeah.
this saying called begin with the end in mind. So you have to identify what your end goal is. And what mine is versus what yours is are very different. And I see a lot of people, they watch one YouTube clip on getting rich in real estate, they go get their license in residential real estate sales, and then they're done in 2 months. Well,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
turns out that that wasn't what they should have been focusing on. They needed to be entering it a different way. They just didn't know that. So you need to match up your superpower with the right vehicle. Okay. Because if you don't do that and you get into the wrong vehicle, you're going to end up at the wrong destination.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. I wouldn't agree that we're reaching different goals. I think we're reaching the same goals, because at the end of the day, I'm looking to help more people, and I think you're looking to do the same. Because and again, that's where you jumping on this call with me, which I'm super grateful for, and you sharing all the knowledge, the information, and like I have this channel and I provide stuff for free. I have the business, and I'm like helping the companies, you know, and
Mhm.
that's the way it works, like, you know, because I mean, looking from a selfish standpoint and everything, it's, you know, it's not good. Like we all here put in this place for some reason, like, and what you're saying, like find your reason why you're here. Maybe it's business, maybe it's sports, maybe it's those two things, it could be, and John
Right.
is a proven fact of that. So what do you think, you know, more about personal development? Because I see now, again, being you being active in real estate space, I'm not active, just beside the, we work closely with the companies in real estate space. But there's a lot of mentorships right now. You know, people saying, oh, go and
Uh,
get a 6-figure, 5-figure, like there's a lot going on. So would you recommend for people who are looking to jump into real estate, go and get the mentor from a get-go?
yes, absolutely. Now, why? And this is a sporting background. Everything
Mm.
that I've ever accomplished in sports is because I had a coach. Okay. And whether you just played in high school or college, if you're in Europe or whatever you did, you had a coach. And you had a coach because they're able to see things that you can't see, and they're able to get the best out of you as well, push you a little
Definitely.
bit, all of these different things that are great. They're really great. And then you get done with sports, and then you're supposed to be a professional in your relationships, with your spouse, with your kids. You're supposed to be, the best in business as well, and just in life in general. But you don't have a coach to help you get there. How are you supposed to improve? How are you supposed to be challenged? How are you supposed to know
Mm.
what to do sometimes? So getting a coach, getting a mentor, paying for them. Believe me, I remember sitting in my living room and I had a negative net worth, didn't have a dollar, and I actually got a Tony Robbins coach because I was emotionally bankrupt, and that was more painful than being
Yeah.
financially bankrupt. And I had to do something, so I got that coach, and that coach got me to a different place. And then I continued to get coaches, different kinds of coaches for
Do you
different things.
wanna do you wanna drop a name in case he's watching?
That would be Erica Becker. She's been with Tony
Awesome.
Robbins for over a decade, and amazing. Allowed me to really kind of, find out more about myself, so that I could do better in business too.
Yeah.
Which is my quote that I told you, Martinez. Work harder on yourself than you do your business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and Andrew Anderson, a lot of different people that have been willing to walk hand in hand with me along this journey in life, so that I could do better business, become a better leader, a better partner with my wife, and a better real estate professional too. And the more and more I focus on myself, the better my business gets. But that's a tough one, because sometimes people say, "Wait a second, it's a $300 course. It's $500 a month for this coaching. It's $12,000 a year, and it grows and grows and grows." And that's tough for some people, because they're scared and they're living in scarcity, and
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to hold on to every dollar that they have. However, you have to be a different person to get different results.
Yeah.
So if you want better results, you're gonna have to be a better person, and it goes hand in hand. And that's a tough place to be in. And believe me, I've done it. However, you've got to buckle down and find people that are willing to coach you and mentor you, and those are different things. Uh, but yeah, that's important. It is vital to getting better.
Yeah, 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 definitely agree. Personal development, I mean, it's everything, like time and time again, we're talking with the people just like yourself, like John, and you guys see, everybody's like, like John is very successful in real estate space, having 40 plus people working in the office currently, and, he's doing all these big deals. And, that's what it takes. I mean, it takes for you to educate yourself, install the right mindset, the right, thinking, surround yourself with the right people, and it's just awesome. I really love that. So maybe, for the people, again, installing the right mindset, would you recommend 3 business personal development books that you can go and grab and read?
Ooh, man, there's just so much good stuff out there.
I know, it's yeah.
I think for foundational mindset, everybody talks about it, but it really impacts you in different ways and opens up your mind, especially in the U.S. Like, we are not taught financial intelligence
Nobody
in
is.
school. We really aren't. And so reading Rich Dad Poor Dad is incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I talked about getting in tune with what your strengths are. Strength Finder is an excellent book to kind of start down that rabbit hole. And another thing is talking, going to tylopez.com. He's a figure out there that's done a lot of stuff, and a really, really dynamic background, incredibly successful in business.
Yeah.
Ty Lopez has a book list on his website. If you pick through anything there, you're going to be in good shape. So there's just so much out there to check out. So hopefully that's valuable to some people.
Definitely. Thanks for that, for sharing. I think he has even the company with this guy named Alex. It's called Mentor Box. I remember.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he has. Yeah, he
That's
has
right.
a company.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So one thing, Martinez, that I did read just recently, it's called The Slight Edge, and that
Mm,
was given to me by my friend and another great coach and mentor, Rod Cleef. And edge is really interesting, because too often people try to go out there and conquer the world in a day. They set New Year's resolutions, etc., but they don't last. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
because they fail to realize it's that slight edge every day. It's that 1% that you're doing a little bit better and a little bit different that's going to give you massive results over the long game. And the long game is something that I talk about a lot. Uh, and also the private wins. This is something that's beautiful that I'll share with everybody. You have to have a lot of private wins in order to get the public win. Okay.
mm,
When I say that, I mean, you know, getting up earlier,
yeah,
making that phone call, doing those things that are on your schedule that you said that you were going to do. But when nobody else is looking, it's easy to negotiate with yourself, and it's easy to say, I'm okay. I'm gonna negotiate with myself, and I'm gonna go out for coffee instead of get up early and
yeah,
read or whatever it is I committed to doing. The people that have all those public wins where you say, "Gosh, that must be nice," I will tell you more often than not, it's because they had sometimes decades of
Be,
private
behind the scenes work. Yeah.
behind the scenes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying is so true because I'm just looking at the notes because I had this phenomenal, again, what you mentioned, Tony Robbins. Maybe you're familiar with Trevor McGregor. He's, coach as well. And I had him on the show prior, and the guy is just unbelievable, same as you. And that's why I love hearing your story. And, he said exactly the same. If you just do, I just looked at the notes. He said, if you just do, it's called stacking. Basically, you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you hit, to the gym for a workout. If that's on the list, you do a third thing, which let's say a call, or come back, have a healthy breakfast or whatever that may be. So if you stack those small things up, it's going to become a big thing one day,
Pay a dividend.
huh?
It'll pay dividends. And I
Exactly.
always say to myself, I get that one thing done. Well, that's in the bank now.
Yeah.
And, when it's in the bank, it's going to pay me back. So,
It's going to be in the bank for real one day.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So talking about the bank and the real estate, some of you guys, that's why you came here for the show. Everybody's just like Martin talking mindset all the time. Again, guys, it's very important. But transitioning to real estate, maybe you can, talk about what you have currently in a pipeline, what deals you're working on, like why particular, what states you're investing in, like why these states, why these deals, and why multifamily, like in particular.
Sure, sure. So I'll touch on my residential business here quickly. So my team here, we're currently number 4 in Keller Williams International for production. Uh, in 2019, we sold just over $220 million in real estate, and this is out of tiny Boise, Idaho. So we're up against some huge metros in doing that, and that's all because of systems, structure, and people. So the culture and the replicable systems that we have are absolutely vital to that. And as you're building your business, it's great to be great at sales, but then you also have to know, where am I going to put those hard-earned dollars so that they start making more dollars?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the thing that woke me up in the middle of the night. And I said, well, I'm going to have to start learning and do something different, because I want different results in my life. And that's going to come in the form of apartment investing. Right. So once I've done that, then again, who do I know? Who can I learn from? How can I add value to their life as well? And growing that business. And that's certainly been the case. And it's been a really fun journey in the apartment investing world. I'm most excited about Sunbelt states in the United States because demographics are incredibly powerful with real estate, whether that be residential real estate here in Boise, one of the top growth cities in the United States. It hits a metric on livability or jobs growth, population growth. Every week you see it in a magazine or a newspaper. Okay, well, that's the same thing that's affecting other states like Michigan or Illinois. Let's take Detroit as an example. Detroit hasn't had an increase in population for a very long time. A lot of people know that's been said before. However, that's not somewhere where I want to invest in. I want to see something that's really healthy. And so Florida has 600 plus people moving to that state every day.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, the baby boomer set.
Doing your research to know what states are going to be advantageous and strategic to start honing in on. And then after that, what metros and why those metropolitan areas. Do they have a great population base? How's the jobs diversification? Are they overly reliant on, say, a military base? Well, what happens if that military base gets shut down?
Yeah.
A lot of questions that you need to ask, because when you're investing for yourself. And in the apartment and syndication space, you're also investing with your fellow passive investors, your limited partners. And it's incredibly important to have the right team, to have the right asset in the right state, so that you can better guarantee your success and their success too. I mentioned the long game in the past. Well, the long game for me includes having real estate investment conversations 20, 30, 40 years from now and being able to have clients that have been with me this whole time. And I've been able to help them make a lot more money so that they can get to their why, their experiences, and the outcomes that are really exciting for them in their life too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, like real estate is one of those things which is like it's no brainer. Like you guys see like on social media, it's floating around from time to time, like landlords grow rich while they sleep, something like that. The quote says so, and it's so true. Because I mean, there is no other kind of time proven investments, I would say. I mean, you see all these, like, you see what's going on currently with stock market. I mean, it's just too volatile. It's like going to casino. Like you just betting on stuff, and you just wishing and hoping that things will, like, you will become rich, which is, wishing is not a strategy, as someone said. So it's just great way to build wealth. And you mentioned couple of states like Florida and Idaho, which you're from. Like, what particular markets you're focusing on, and how big of a assets are you looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix rests, fastest growing county in the nation last year. So, very interesting there. Boise, another great market. It's a small market, so it's very challenging to find assets that actually make sense. And it's a frothy market, and most people realize this. So you have to be very, very diligent as a general partner, investor, active investor, and a passive investor as to, well, what's the stress testing with this particular asset that is being presented to me, and what's the worst case scenario that could happen, and can we still hang on to it? Because number one goal, in investing, Warren Buffett, don't lose money. That's an important one to remember. And so when you have a frothy market, people are very excited. Some people are making very hasty decisions just to do a deal, to get a deal done.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. It has to have the right story, and it has to make sense for the long term, so that you have the best opportunity to have a successful investment.
Exactly.
So currently looking at an asset in Georgia that we're really excited about. Going back to the why, the story of a marketplace. If you look at somewhere like Atlanta, it's going to triple in population by 2050. Are they going to need more apartment units? Probably. That's a pretty good bet there. Nice diversification of jobs, and livability as well. So people look for that, and that matters.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you definitely, like, you're betting on a sure things, kind of. Like I don't see like any bets going towards like real estate. Like you're diversified across good states. And again, what you mentioned is so true. There's a lot of people who are like willing to overpay for the properties, and that's, again, like they overpromise and underdeliver. So it's so, but again, you just have to do kind of, that's for the people, because I'm a big proponent of, passive investing is a great thing. Like, I'm not passively invested currently, but we have our eyes open, because it's a great thing. Like, if you have a business, if you're running a business, you have your hands full. Why should go and pursue another thing and learn again, which it took you like some time, to learn all these things, because it's completely a different business.
It
So,
is,
like,
and I'll add something to that, Martinez. So when you start that investment journey as a limited partner to be a passive investor, my wife and I did that, and we set our metrics for what are we looking for, getting clear on where we want to be. Kind of a theme that we talked about with exiting rugby too. Getting clarity about, well, what do we want to achieve, beginning with the end in mind as a passive investor, and then going out and finding that, which we did. And then, we invested that cash. And then I remember when that mailbox money, as they call it, came back to us that first time. And I said, you know what we had to do this, to my wife? And she said, what? I said, we just had to keep breathing. So making money when we were sleeping, and I spent zero time and effort after we made the investment, and it continually comes back to us on a regular basis. What a wonderful feeling that is. It really is. And with the most recent happenings in the stock market, being exposed to real estate
Mm-hmm.
is an excellent thing, because I've had people call me, clients, fellow investors, that they're in a bad mood because the stock market apparently went down, X% in that day. And I said, oh, that's interesting. My tenants kept on paying, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah. It's people choose to do whatever because again, like it's all coming back. It's a personal development, which is it's like there is none. What you mentioned, like nobody teaches finances, money in school and universities, colleges. They teach about like accountancy and all of that. Like you came back if you were an accountant, like you definitely don't know how to run a business or do so they don't teach a lot of stuff, and that's why people are making those type of investments because somebody pitched them like go buy a house. It's a pitch by the banks because they make money by giving the mortgages out. Go buy a stock. It's a pitch by Wall Street. So like once you start seeing like who's playing the game and just seeing like where can I position myself to make sure that I become like wealthy, because like multifamily has a tremendous tax advantages, again cash flow, and it's just a great beautiful thing. But again, from passive investor standpoint, I would have a question because again what you mentioned, like stock market is too volatile. What's going on right now, I mean, it's insane. But people are talking about upcoming downturn, so maybe you can talk about that, how somebody could be protected, and maybe your exit strategy on the deals, like what you're planning to do in this downturn time with your real estate portfolios.
Sure. We're only entertaining opportunities that, one, cash flow from close day. So when we close on that property, they're cash flowing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've also done a lot of underwriting to find out where exactly we are with the stress testing. So what can take place with this asset before we can no longer service the debt? So we explore those metrics as well. Then we also look at financing with longer term debt. There's a lot of bridge loan scenarios right now that are shorter term, and that makes me uncomfortable. I like to look at debt that's 10 to 12 years, because I can feel much more confident about holding on to that for longer term, because real estate has always demonstrated that for a longer term, versus in what's going to happen in 2 years. I really can't tell that, and I don't want a note that's due in 3 years on shorter term. So we like cash flowing deals that handle a stress test very well in markets that make sense. That I can never say recession proof, but I can certainly say more recession resistant, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that is awesome, definitely. So again, before we gonna wander off doing the stuff that we do every day and just stacking more stuff onto this, wealth and abundance that you're creating, for a life and for the people around you. Maybe you can share some of the social media platforms, as I mentioned, for athletes or people who are looking to get involved into real estate from active passive standpoint. If they have some questions or they're looking to invest, what would be those social media platforms for them to connect with you?
Oh man, that is such a great question, and there's so much to pick from. What I would probably say is I'll share some things with you offline, Martinez, so
Got
that
it.
they can have a direct click on the show notes and go from there. But there's a plethora of things, but I want to make sure that I'm giving them the top best things that I recommend.
Sure. That's no problem. That's perfectly fine. So again, guys, you're watching already this pre-recorded. It's not live, so you can click the link right now down below and go to this special place. You're gonna find great real estate offerings. All the information that's available on a current deals and like what John is doing currently in his real estate space, and maybe just one more question, because I thought that it will be kind of good. I know it's almost ending, but goals, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's super important, and we have kind of a fresh year. So maybe if you just share the people again, where are you going this year? Because again, you accomplished tremendous things, which is like big fan, and like I see what you're doing all over the place, which is crazy. Like I love it. But what you're planning to accomplish this year? Maybe you can share a few goals with people as well.
Sure. So in my active real estate sales role here, We're really inwardly focusing on our team right now with the systems and structure and people that I talked about. And we're doing that so that we can get to a end goal here in the medium term, which is to do 1,000 deals per year. Right now,
Wow.
we close a deal a day, pretty much, and we'd like to triple that in the medium term. And so, really focusing on systems, structure, people, culture. Those are the four things that we're very much focused on right now. And people are expanding in real estate very quickly right now. However, I question if they have those things in place truly, and time always tells. So even though we are very, very dominant, we are also training like we're number two, because we have a lot more to do in our minds. So that's something that takes a lot of my time, and also my focus on the apartment investing space as well. I have really set out to do great deals with great people. And that sounds a lot different than what you'll hear in the apartment syndication space with people that are talking about how many doors they're doing. I don't really talk about that. And it's great if you do, but that's just not my thing. It's not my focus right now, because my metrics for success are really great deals and really great people. Whether that be my partners in the general partnership and my passive investors as well. And I love winning. Going back to the team, it's got to be the right team.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm focused on. If that means that it's 500 doors or 5,000 doors, that's fantastic. But it's got to meet those two basic criteria that are very, very important for longer term success.
Yeah. No, definitely. Couldn't agree more, because again, as you guys see, this man is playing a game for a long run. He's here for a marathon. He's not sprinting like other people do. And, like in your space, there's a lot of that going on just for the fee or whatever, they're in the game for. But, I really appreciate the time today. It's just the story. I love it. Again, I became an even bigger fan because, I just love that you shared that with me. I'm going to spend these, I don't know how long, 30, 40 minutes, here sharing the story and the things that you're doing right now and looking to accomplish, which is very big, like big, tremendous goals you have for this year, which I'm sure, you're going to reach, because you're a special guy, has the superpower, and you have a lot of superpower for people around you. So, it's going to happen for you for sure. So again, guys, if you enjoyed the show, you already know what to do. These guys are very smart. Click, like, subscribe, and share with other people as well. Share the journey that, in real estate space, what it takes to have the right mindset, to achieve what you want in life, and just to do better in general. So again, John, I really appreciate you being here today. And guys, as always, I'm going to see you on the next episode. Thanks.
Thanks, Martinez.